Welcome to the Byzantine Coin Podcast, where we celebrate and discuss all things numismatic from the Byzantine era of the Roman Empire. My name is Kyle Bolin, and this is episode 14. We are in the high summer months, and typically the numismatic community takes a big sigh between big auctions in the summer. Europe slows way down. The United States slows way down. The ANA is coming up in August, so that'll be a big show. So there might be some action there. However, we are seeing a number of auctions currently going on with a lot of Byzantine coins, and we're going to go through those auctions and some highlights from them. I also want to talk about the results from the most recent Nomos auction that was postponed due to the tariffs, and go through that auction and look at the prices realized. Prices were very strong, and there was a lot of great coins in that auction. After that, I'm going to do something that I don't typically do, and that's look at some coins that recently have hit eBay from a dealer in the United States called Sarasota Numismatics. They had recently, it looks like, bought a pretty good sized Byzantine collection, slabbed it, and then put it on their website. And there was some great coins in there. It was sort of a feeding frenzy. I think they put 35 coins up, and within a day, 10 or 11 of them had already sold. There was some stuff from the Hunt collection in there, and some real rarities. So we'll look at some of the stuff that's still available, and take a look at those. So with that, let's get started. Okay, where is that working? Hold on. There we go. So first off, Nomos 35 finally went off. It was delayed because of the tariff situation and the uncertainty around them. Sounds like there's been a lot more clarification on that front, which is great. It sounds like if you're working with the right shipper, as of right now, with the right codes, there are no tariffs on coins being imported into the United States. And I did see with the dealer roster at the ANA coming up that a number of European dealers are coming over, so they're able to bring their coins into the United States too, which is great. So let's take a look here. Nomos 35 went off, and Nomos always has great Byzantine coins. We've talked about that, and this auction has some really beautiful examples. Sorry, somebody decided to mow their lawn right when I started this podcast. It has some great examples, and the issue that I have right now with actually buying anything from Switzerland is the strength of the Swiss franc versus the US dollar. So right now, if I bought any of these coins, I would be looking at probably with buyer's premium, the Swiss franc, and associated fees for shipping and wire transfers, etc. Probably between 50 and 55% over the hammer price in US dollars, which is an awful lot. So while these coins are beautiful, you are paying a massive premium for them right off the bat. So I didn't end up bidding in this. I had to sort of sit on my hands and not click any buttons when this is going off because there are a lot of coins that I really like in here, but I had to try to be somewhat disciplined on these as they went through. So let's take a look. First off, we have this really nice Anastasius the First cross on the helmet, full legends, 4.46 grams. This hammered for 1,500 Swiss francs. Um, with 50%, let's say that's like $2,300. I think that's sort of at the high end, a little bit of the high end for this. This is a really nice example. So not surprised, I guess, by that hammer. Let's see, next lot. Next lot is another Anastasius the First. This one is with the reverse Cairo on the reverse of the coin, held by Winged Victory. This is 4.49 grams. The reverse Cairo type is a rarer type. This had a little bit more wear to it. This hammered for 1,300 Swiss francs. Based on where I see these typically hammer for, that's actually, I think, a pretty good price for that. This also says Officina not recorded, so it's Officina A, which is a rare, I guess, Officina. So, um, yeah, it's a nice example, and I think it was got at one of the few that was got at a decent price. Next up is another one of these, a little bit stranger style on the Emperor, but nice. This is 4.48 grams, and this hammered for 1,600 Swiss francs. I think that's a little bit better, a little bit better price for the consignor, given where these typically hammer for, because these are the rare of the regular Anastasius solidi. This is an Ostrogothic imitation from Athalaric, a solidus in the name of Justin the First. It says, let's see, 4.46 grams. This hammered for 2,800 Swiss francs. These usually go for about there, a little bit more, a little bit less sometimes, but this is a nice example for barbaric imitation, Justin the First solidus. So I think that is a pretty good price for the consigner. It's, I mean, 2,800 Swiss francs, another 1,400 on top of it. So you're looking at $3,200 roughly for this. So yeah, that's a pretty good price for the consigner. This is one of the Byzantine rarities. This is a solidus of the revolt of the Heraclii. What you see here is Heraclius Senior and his son Heraclius Junior. These are coins that they minted when they raised the flag of revolt from Carthage, and this one is from Alexandria. This is after they have taken Alexandria. These are very rare. This is a really nice example, and it fetched 36,000 Swiss francs. So, that's a big price. But these are very rare coins. Next one is a Heraclius and his co-emperor and son, Heraclius Constantine, the future Constantine III. This is 4.47 grams. Um, this one actually had some, well, I wouldn't say it's provenance, but it says it's from an American collection acquired from R.M. Smythe. This was 1,500 Swiss francs. That's a strong price for this. I mean, it's a really nice one. It's the one with the T on that, which is an interesting officina mark, unknown what it really means, but they are a little bit rare, and the style is nice on this. There's no doubt about it, but you can get these much cheaper. Um, and it's got a little dye rust on the reverse too. But yeah, a very strong price for this coin. And one thing I want to mention is last podcast I had mentioned we were talking about Constance the second coins and some of them being categorized as Constantine the third, his father. Um, and I had said, I think I had said that Constantine the third ruled for like 9 months. That is not the case. Constantine the third ruled for 3 months, and then his half brother Heraclonus ruled for about 6 months. So some of the early Constants II are sometimes categorized as Constantine III by different references. I don't agree with that, or there's nothing definitive to prove that, put it that way. But I just wanted to correct that because I had said that Constantine III ruled much longer than he actually did. This is a somewhat rough Three Kings Solidus, depicting Heraclius and his two sons as co-emperors. This was 600 Swiss francs. I think that was the opening bid on that. It's a little rough, like I said, so no surprise it didn't get any higher than that, and it went under estimate. I really like this Constance the Second. This is a youthful portrait of Constance the Second, and it's on a big flan at 22.5 millimeters. So I'm sure in hand this looks spectacular and would stick out. I almost put a bid on this. They had this at a starting price of 800 Swiss francs, and it got one bid. When it was all said and done, I think I'd be looking at eleven fifty, maybe $1,200 for this to come in to the United States. And I think I would be hard pressed to get $1,200 for this if I went to go and resell it. It is nice though. And a really great portrait. So it did fetch the 800 Swiss francs. And yeah, it's a nice coin. This is a Constance II with Constantine IV. There was a number of these. This is a decent looking one. It is underweight at 4.35 grams, but it's all there. The legends are there. This hammered for 950. I think that's a strong price for this coin. This is another Constance II, pictured by himself with a short beard at 4.46 grams. This hammered for 1100 Swiss francs. That's a strong price for this too, especially given the fact that there's the weakness there between, let's say, 6 and 8 o'clock along the globus I don't know, globus, whatever it is, the ball with the cross on top of it. Um, yeah, so 1100 Swiss franc is a strong price for this coin, I think. Another Constance II with his son Constantine IV, 800 Swiss francs. Again, decent coin, nice, nothing remarkable. Hammered for 800 Swiss francs. So somebody's into that for $1,250. That's too much money for this coin. This is a Justinian II Solidus with a portrait of Christ from his first reign. It's the first reign portrait with the um, sort of traditional looking portrait of Christ. It's got full legends, a little weakness at the bottom of the obverse, but it's a really sort of really pretty portrait. And it's got a lot of nice details to it. The reverse is a little off center, not in the greatest shape, but it's hammered for 3,200 Swiss francs. So that's $4,800 roughly, all in. So that's right where I guess it should be. It also is 4.35 grams, so it is slightly underweight as well. This was a beautiful Justinian second reign with the Syrian portrait of Christ, and it's just got a remarkably detailed and I would say even sublime portrait. I mean, it's really got great. It's a great strike and great style. Um, this was all again 4.32 grams, so a little on the light side. So I mean, anything basically 4.4 and below will probably get clipped notation if you sent it into NGC. So if you're buying for that reason, that definitely is something that some buyers who buy for that reason take into account. Sometimes full weight coins get clipped notations too. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to it. Um, I mean, most of the clipping, we've talked about this at length, most of the clipping took place at the officina, so it's not something that was done in circulation on this coin. This is, like I said, a really nice coin. This hammered for 3,600 Swiss francs, strong price for this coin. Um, that's what, $4,900, so almost $5,000 for this coin. It is superior quality, there's no doubt about it. So, I can sort of understand that. I think that's a strong price though. Anastasius II, Artemius. Artemius was his original name, and he took the name Anastasius II. It's presumed he took Anastasius because the original Anastasius was also a palace bureaucrat, just like Anastasius II was as well. So he is remembered by his original name too, Artemius. And it says, Artemius Anastasius in the legends. This is 4.44 grams. Nice portrait, great detail in the eyes, great strike. This went for 2,400 Swiss francs. That's probably right where it should have gone for, in my opinion. It's a nice example of that. Theodosius III of Adramyttum. This is a solidus, 4.44 grams. These used to be super rare, and actually Nomos sent out a note on this that these used to never be encountered, and then a number of them came to market, I think through Nomos actually. Um, and so they're not as hard to get as they were, but they are still very rare. And this one is sort of a rare type of portrait, and it's got a unpublished and rarely seen Officina uh, combination with the theta, and I don't know what that is, a C or what that is, but um, this was a nice coin. I watched the video on this, and I was like, "Ooh, I really want to buy this coin." It hammered for 7,500 Swiss francs. High side for what a Theodosius the second, third would go for these days, but given the quality and the rarity of the style and the Officina combination, I can understand why it went so high. Um, so beautiful coin and a strong hammer. This one was sort of unremarkable in my opinion. It was a Constantine V with his father Leo III. Went for 1,100 Swiss francs. It's 4.46 grams. I think that's right where it should have hammered for. Again, this one unremarkable. I can't believe it got 900 Swiss francs. Just given the ugliness of the style on this and a lot of the weakness in the strike. So yeah, I think this is a very good price for the consigner, given the quality of this coin. 900 Swiss francs. Again, not the best example, arguably better than the last one, and it went for 50 francs less than the last one. Um, this one is 4.44 grams. Again, unremarkable. And another one, this one is slightly better style, but there's a lot of wear on this. This was 800 Swiss francs, so again, arguably better style, but not as in good condition, I guess. I don't know, but this was 800 Swiss francs, and that feels sort of high for this. Another one, 800 Swiss francs. Yeah, not much to be said about that. Nothing that interesting. This is Constantine the Sixth with Leo the Third, Constantine the Fifth, and his son his father Leo the Fourth. Um, this went for 1,200 Swiss francs. I think that was a strong price given the condition on this. I don't think the details are all that crisp. Um, so yeah, that was a strong price for the consigner. The ever popular Irene Solidus, double-sided Irene. This is in, I guess, really nice shape. Well centered. Really nice example. I've seen these go for big money. This I thought went for very strong money at 10,000 Swiss francs. So you're looking at paying roughly 15,000, maybe close to $16,000 for this coin. So strong hammer on that. Nicephorus the first, early in his reign, before he associated his son on to the throne on this coins. This was 4.46 grams, not the greatest of shape. Um, 950 Swiss francs. That's about where I expected that would go. Maybe a little bit less. I like this one. This is Michael the First Rengave. These are super rare. He didn't reign very long, maybe, yeah, it says 2 years. Um, yeah, this is one of the, I think I would classify this as one of the Byzantine rarities. This hammered for 15,000 Swiss francs. And that is, what is that? 27,000, $28,000. Um, and it's a really nice example for sure. Uh, this is a coin I'd love to own, but it's a little A little too pricey for me. This is a Michael II with his son Theophilus Solidus from Syracuse, 3.85 grams. And it's in a very, I don't know, it's in a very rare, sorry, a very pedestrian style, but that was the style of Syracuse. Michael II is definitely rarer than Theophilus. 2,400 Swiss francs seems like a very strong price for this coin. This is one of the major Byzantine rarities. This is a Leo VI Solidus, 4.35 grams. Portrait of the Virgin Mary, or I think Theotokos, on the obverse, with the reverse being Leo VI the Wise. Lovely style on this. This hammered for 27,000 Swiss francs, which is you know, they command that kind of money, and this is a nice example. So it's a nice coin, and it got what I think it probably deserved from a hammer perspective. And we'll see. I think there's another one I have highlighted here from eBay that I want to show you, and you can see the price differentiation on it. But 27,000 Swiss francs, you're looking at. I'm just going to do some quick math. $40,000 for this. $41,000 maybe when it's all said and done. That's a lot of money, but it's in nice shape. It's a nice looking coin. This is a Constantine the 7th Militarization. It's bronze. Apparently, it's very rare. I don't know much about these, but the hammer price was 2,600 Swiss francs for this bronze piece. So it must be very rare and in great condition for the type. Really interesting. This is Michael VI to Tartaron. This hammered for 9,500 Swiss francs. Um, Great portrait of Mary on the obverse, and a well-centered, nice portrait of the Emperor standing on the reverse. These are very rare. Surprised, it could have maybe even gone for more than that, but what they have for an estimate, 7,500. So it went over their estimate. So nice coin. Isaac Komnenos, Histamendon, 4.43 grams. This hammered for 1,900 Swiss francs. This is a nice example. The emperor is standing with his sword unsheathed, which are a little bit more in demand than the one where he's standing with his sword sort of planted in the ground. Um, and a nice portrait of Christ. This I felt like was a very strong price for this coin. But it's nice. And this one actually had some provenance on it too. It said from a European collection acquired privately in 1984. So, I mean, 1,900 Swiss francs, that's almost $3,000. And, there's one right now that I really like at Harlan Burke, and they have it in their buy and bid sale, and it's $3,000. So, which I would say is of the same quality, if not slightly better, probably. It's tough. It's tough to tell when you're not looking at them in hand to do a comparison, um, but looking at the photographs, um, Burke's coin had a video which really set the coin off, and it is beautiful. But um, so I think that's a very high price for that. I think the $3,000 that Burke is looking for his example is very high as well. But these are cool coins. This is a Constantine the 10th, Ducas Histamenon. These are fairly easy to acquire. This one isn't not in the greatest of shape. And it hammered for 600 francs. This is a Constantine the 10th, Ducas Tetartron, 4.01 grams. Nice strike on both the Virgin Mary and the Emperor. This hammered at an enormous price, in my opinion, at 3,400 Swiss francs. I mean, you can get these for, I don't know, you can get these a lot cheaper, put it that way, if you look. Theodore Komnenos Ducas, Emperor of Thessalonica. This is a beautiful example of this coin. It's an Aspiron Trachy. It's either silver or electrum. It's really rare, but I mean, what's really cool about this is just how needle sharp the portraiture of both Christ and the Emperor and Saint Theodore look on this. I mean, it's clearly struck from, I would say, almost brand new dies. So, a really nice example. Strong hammer price at 2,000 Swiss francs. Michael the Eighth, Paleologos, Emperor of Nicaea. I don't know a lot about these, to be honest. It says very rare and an exceptional condition for the type. I will take Nomos's word for it. It hammered at 3,600 Swiss francs, which I think was very strong. These were dies. It's very rare you see dies come to market, but these were dies that were most likely contemporary counterfeits. They have a question mark. They're not sure. It's John the Fifth Paleologos and John the Sixth Cantacuzene. Um, and even for contemporary forger dies, this hammered for 17,000 Swiss francs. So somebody, a couple people wanted them. That to me feels very strong. Nice seals. They had a couple nice seals. I really like this seal actually. Is a seal or bola. Yeah, I don't really know a lot about seals, but I kind of like the portrait of Christ on it. Hammered for 360 Swiss francs. So I feel like, I feel like that's a pretty good price. I mean, I don't really know a lot about them, to be honest, but that doesn't feel like it's egregious. This was one from the Latin Empire of Constantinople, John of Breen or Breen, or I'm going to say it's Breen. And it has some pedigree to it, which is cool. This hammered for 4,000 Swiss francs, so clearly it is a more one of a kind piece that can tell a much better story than the last one. So very cool stuff. I think that's the last of it. Let me see. Yeah. So that's the last of the Byzantine offering from Nomos 35. Again, I thought prices were very strong. It's very difficult for me as an American to go and bid on something and know that I'm going to have to pay over 50% hammer in order to get it into the country. So that's that's tough. I had to hold off, but some really exceptional coins, and I would encourage everybody if you're interested in what really nice coins look like. I mean, try and take a look at the videos when they have them on there because the videos really show you how these things jump out at you. They're just really nice. So let's continue on to some coins that are coming up for auction. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, just because it's summer, there seems to be a fair amount of action going on and some nice offerings coming up in a number of auctions. One of which we're going to talk about in a minute, is Leu. But let's start off and look at the Erex Privitas 25 auction. This is a Maurice Tiberius consular issue from circa 602. It's at 4.27 grams. These were struck either at the beginning of a reign or an anniversary of the reign or to commemorate some sort of amazing event. Like it's speculated that these might have been struck to commemorate the marriage of his son, or it might have been the beginning of his reign. But you have this seated version of the emperor holding a mappa. It's got really nice details. Right now, the bid's at €1,000 on this. I'll give Rex a lot of credit. Their estimates seem to be right on for the coins. I think that this will go between 4 and 5,000 euro, if I had to guess. It's a really nice example, a really strong strike. and these are very rare coins. So be keeping an eye on this one for sure. It's a really nice example. This is also from Rex. This is a Leo the Sixth, the Wise, with Constantine the Seventh, Solidus. What's the weight on this? 4.39 grams, 19.78 millimeters. These are rare. These are very rare coins with a standing Leo and Constantine standing, holding a cross, and then Christ on the obverse, seated. But this is a nice example. They've got an estimate at 3,000 euro. I think this goes between 3 and 5,000 euro for this coin. One recently was sold as part of Sarasota Numismatics offering that they dropped. They had one that was in much weaker shape, but it seemed to be priced extremely well. And I think it sold for like $1,600 on eBay. So I feel like somebody saw that and just grabbed it very quickly. So we'll see where this one goes. These are rare coins. And they're very pretty coins, I think, too. They've got sort of that Macedonian dynasty style that is so unique, I think. So I would love to own one. So we'll see what happens with this. This is another one from Rex. This is a Nicephorus the second Phocos, a military son. It's an exceptional condition, and they call it out. It's an extremely rare condition. Clearly fresh dyes, and really in really nice shape. They have an estimate of 1,000 euro on that, which I feel like is a strong estimate. We'll see where it goes. I don't know. I don't know these that well, but I just I do know that I've looked at enough of these to know that this is a nice one that is above the run of the mill of the type. This is another coin from Rex. This is a Eudokia. Eudokia and Michael the Seventh and Constantius from 1067. Eudokia ran the regency for Michael the Seventh for, I want to say, 7 or 8 months. And these coins were produced in that time frame. And there's a fair amount of these out there. They are rare, but there are a fair amount of these out there. This is a really nice looking example at 4.43 grams, 25.83 millimeters. But if you look at that, I mean, that's a very sharp strike. Now, the strike on Christ isn't great, as great, but a rare coin, and probably when you look at it in hand, it's probably a really nice condition. No bids on this yet. They have an estimate of 2,000 euros. I think it's going to be 3,000 euro. We'll see. I think it might even go over 3,000. We'll see. These are very rare. This is also at the Rex sale. This is a die, a single die from Follis of Tiberius II, and it's the reverse. They have an estimate of 2,000 euro on this. I don't know. The counterfeiter dies went for 17,000, but that was, of course, a full set with the top and the bottom of the die. This is just one side. Well, we'll see where it goes for. Dies just rarely come up, so it's really cool when you see one. Now let's look at Leu Numismatics. Leu has got an e-sale, web auction 34 and 35 coming out, and they are dropping, let's see, how many is it? Hold on, I'll tell you in a second. That's wrong. I think it's like 506 Byzantine coins, and there are a lot of gold coins, a lot of gold coins of Heraclius, Constance II, Constantine IV. There's a lot of them. And it's clear that they got access or bought a hoard or were consigned a hoard of coins that were found together, and they're selling them all off sort of en masse as opposed to holding and sending some of them out. And I've seen Lloyd do that in the past before too. There was a couple auctions ago where they had like 50 or 55 Romanus III Histamindon. So it's not uncommon that they seem to be able to want to do that. There are a couple of pedigreed coins mixed in, um, and there's some decent coins sort of in the mix with all these, but there are of so many to go through. It almost got to a point where I was almost getting bored looking at Byzantine coins, which is unheard of for me. But what's cool about this sale is if you're looking to pick up a coin from the Heraclean dynasty, a gold coin, and maybe you're looking to maybe get your first gold coin or just pick one up, chances are you're going to be able to pick up a decent example, and it's probably going to go close to melt because there are just so many in this sale. So it's a good chance to go and pick something up. I tell you that most of these I wouldn't bother to look for any kind of pedigree on them. I think, like I said, they came from a hoard that they recently got, and I've highlighted a few here. So let's go through them. This one is from a Swiss archaeologist, Philip Reto Huser. And he bought this in June of 2023. It's an Anastasius the First. Not great shape, but it's got sort of a really nice portrait of nice style. Just it's sort of in weak shape. Um, but it's got a nice style portrait. It's at 320 Swiss francs right now. This is a Justinian the First. Again, not great, but not bad either. That's at 360 Swiss francs, and it's from an American collection. You'll notice with Lloyd, they always say foreign before 2005. I think they have to put that on there in order to work with the memorandums of understanding that they have to deal with on this stuff. I don't have any visibility into when they got this hoard or if it even was a hoard. This is all just conjecture on my part. So it may have been out there for a while and then and they're selling it off. But yeah, this is a Justinian the First. Again, a lot of dye rust. Not oh, it's okay, but this is also coming from Hirsch in 1995. So it's got a little pedigree. This was an unpublished second known example of Justinian the First Decanumenium from an uncertain mint, possibly Sicily. This offers no pedigree or European collection formed before 2005. It just doesn't have anything. But I guess this is a very rare type. We'll keep an eye on that. Let's see. I'm just moving through a couple of these. This is a lightweight solidus. We talked a lot about lightweight solidi on the last podcast episode. This is a Justinian the Second and a solidus of 22 siliqua, OB star plus star in the exurg, and a theta sigma as the Officina letters. And it says somewhat clipped, otherwise good, very fine. Yeah, I mean, they're not. It's not going to command much money. Let me clip through here. It's a nice Tiberius the Second, nice portrait. Not in the best shape, but nice enough. And it's at 420 Swiss francs. This is a very rare Maurice Tiberius from the Mint of Rome, and you can tell the Mint of Rome from the Officina letter. I guess what is that? A rho. It looks like a P, but it's a rho, the Greek letter rho for Rome. It's got an odd style to it too, which is kind of cool. A lot of times the style was very similar to around the rest of the empire. Yeah, and they give you some background on it here. No, there's no pedigree on this whatsoever, not even from the European collection formed before 2005. But it's already at 900 Swiss francs. I think it's going to go probably 2,500, maybe 3,000 when it's all said and done. Because it just has sort of a unique look to it with the way the eyes are positioned the way they are, and probably the wear on the die that makes them look like that. I'm sure that they weren't originally looking like that. Here's a nice focus. This is they call it an unusual tired-looking portrait of focus. Okay. 4.27 grams, so it's a little underweight. It's 21 millimeters, so it's not a big flan. It's not the greatest shape, but it is kind of a cool looking portrait of focus. And this is a focus. That's not the one I was thinking of, but yeah, it looks like it's a half phallus of focus from Antioch. It's rare. It's been repatinaed and it's got corrosion on things, and it's from a collection formed before 2005. The next two coins are really cool. So this is a revolt of the Heraculi phallus from Cyprus. This auctioned in 2024, and I think it got like something like 9,000 Swiss francs for this, which is bananas. And now it's back in this auction now. I don't know if somebody bid this up and was like, "Oh my God, I'm paying 9,000 francs for this. That's crazy," and didn't pay, or I don't know if there was another situation on this, but it's coming back up. I'd be shocked if it got 9,000 Swiss francs again, but I mean, maybe it will. It is rare. Um, it was in a Papillon e-auction 3 from 2020. It's been cleaned since then, and I don't think it got over 1,000 Swiss francs in that auction. I could be wrong though. I have to go back and check. It is very rare. There's no doubt about it. It's already at 1,000 Swiss francs right now. So maybe it will. Maybe it'll go up to close to where it went last time. I certainly wouldn't pay that much money for it. Um, and then this Heraclius and Constantine III Solidus. This is a nice shape. It's got kind of a an odd style to it, specifically around the eyes in Hercules and being those circular sort of lug nut type eyes that you see later on for Constance the Second, especially in Sicily. And they call it out a lustrous and attractive example with two spectacular portraits of a very unusual style, slightly clipped at 4.35 grams, some light doubling, otherwise virtually a struck. I mean, I don't have anything to back this up other than looking at the style, but to me, this has the potential to be provincial, maybe Sicilian. I don't think there's anything like it that I know of. But it's I don't know. It's pretty cool. So we'll watch it. It's at 460 Swiss francs. There's a whole mess of constants to seconds. I don't think I'm going to go through many more of these. I'm going to skip through them. I mean, there's a couple that I have highlighted here. Constantine the Fourth, and then a Constance the Second hexagram. Yeah, let's take a look at that. So this is a Constance the Second hexagram, not in great shape, but fully there. This also has a pedigree to 1984, which is or 1988, sorry, which is kind of cool. Yeah. So moving on. This is a Leo the Third Solidus with Constantine the Fifth from an uncertain Italian mint. This is 4.14 grams. They say have the highest rarity, one of very few known examples, somewhat wavy and double struck, otherwise good, very fine. 460 Swiss francs right now. Um, it is, I'm sure it's one of a kind, or maybe there's like only a few. The N in the field, my guess, if there's nothing to back it up, but usually using deduction, this would probably have been minted in Naples. It's one of the few territories still held by the empire at that time. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. I mean, it's super rare, but there is zero provenance on it. This is a nice phallus of Romanus the First. These are common. Uh, and what's cool about these, in my opinion, is I think they offer one of the best visual depictions of Romanus the First as an emperor. I mean, much better than most of his solidi. So it is a nice example. Like I said, they're super common, but it seems to be in pretty decent shape. and of fairly fresh dyes too, and it survived pretty well, it looks like. It says traces of cleaning, but who cares? That doesn't bother me so much. No provenance on this from a European collection formed before 2005, probably like 1,000 years before 2005. But yeah, it is a nice example. Uh, let's see. Basil II, the Bulgar Slayer. These are nice coins. This isn't a great example. This does have some pedigree to 1998, but yeah, it's not a great example. I mean, this is an e-auction, so you can't expect that there's going to be amazing stuff that's come in. They usually save the amazing stuff for the feature auctions. This is also an interesting one. This is an Isaac Komnenos. We just looked at one in the Nomos sale. Great portrait, both of Christ and of the Emperor. This is also has some pedigree. It's from the Joseph Markowitz collection. He passed away in 1981, and he brought this to Israel in 1949 and kept it in the family ever since. So I don't know if you'd be able to find pedigree for this, but yeah, it's really nice. So those are some of the ones that I wanted to highlight from Nomos. And one other thing I wanted to talk about is, there's been a lot of talk about the European collection formed before 2005. I mean, that's what they have to put out there in order to do business and to be able to ship these things. So I don't fault them for that. I don't consider that egregious lying or whatever. It's just what they have to sort of put in there in order to tick the box. One thing, I look at the web shop from Nomos. I mean, they always talk about, oh, it's from an old Swiss collection and started in the 19th century, and that's just cover four. There's no provenance at all on it. And I wanted to highlight this Hercules and Hercules Constantine with Heraclonus, the Three Kings Solidus, from their web shop that sold for 1,250 Swiss francs. And it just says it's from an old Swiss collection started in the 19th century. And through the miracle of Coin Cabinet IO, I believe it was ran by whoever ended up buying this, ran it through there, and they found provenance to a Swiss auction from Mario Rado in 1955 in Lugano, Switzerland. So there is provenance there. And then looking even further back, I was able to find provenance to the Rudolfo Rado sale, which is Don Vivoluzio. God, I'm gonna screw up the name, but from 1930. So sometimes when they say it's from an old Swiss collection, it's actually from an old Swiss collection. So I wanted to highlight that as a find from Coin Cabinet and something that is true to form, and it's not just a made up thing all the time, right? From the old Swiss collection started in the 19th century. And it's a really nice coin. It's really sharp. So sometimes you can find some good provenance on these things. So with that, we'll leave Low behind. We'll watch where things go for. Like I said, it's going to be an auction where if you're looking for a Hercules or a Three Kings Solid Eye, a Constance II Solidus, or whatever, there's so many to pick from. You'll be able to get them cheap. I think even with the exchange rate being what it is, I think you'll be able to if you've been in the market for one, you'll be able to pick one of these up cheap because there are a lot of them. 506 coins total, I think. So let's move over to eBay. I've got a bunch of these from eBay. So the other day, about 35, I'm guessing at the number, coins, gold coins dropped from Sarasota Numismatics on eBay, and some of them were very overpriced. Some of them were very underpriced, and some of them were particularly rare. So 35 of them hit, and I would say within 12 hours, I noticed a bunch of them, let's say 12, were gone. So there was a bit of a feeding frenzy when these things hit. There was a couple that I wanted to buy. I did get two, um, but there was a couple more that I wanted to buy. There was one from the Hunt collection. There was uh, there was a number of really cool coins, but they were on hold, and so I didn't end up getting them. But I wanted to highlight a few of them here. They always seem to have a good Byzantine selection, and like I said, sometimes they're priced okay, and sometimes they are priced very high. But we can highlight a few of these here. So the first one is this Constantine the Seventh and Romanus the First Solidus. This is a rare type. Um, it looks like it's got like an old collection patina to it. Um, and it's not in the greatest of shape, but these are super rare. It's on a big flange, 4.31 grams. NGC gave it a choice extra fine, a 5 of 5, 4 of 5, clipped. But if I bought this coin, I would pop that right out of there because the I think the NGC grading isn't really helping it at all. And I think it's a little bit better. Well, it's probably, I guess, close to that. Maybe AU, but it's a really rare type. Now, is it $17,000 rare? No. I think this is probably a six to $8,000 coin, maybe, looking at comps. One thing I will say, most of you know this, but I'll say it anyway, is if you're looking at stuff on eBay and the dealer is selling it, has their own website, chances are it's going to be cheaper to buy it off their website. That is 100% the case. Sarasota has their own website, and you can buy it at I don't know, probably like a 13% discount if you buy it directly from their website because eBay's fees are so high, around 13%, and then probably they charge you for PayPal fees and stuff and like that as well. So this is still available, super rare. It's a high price, but if you're looking for this rarity for your collection and you got that kind of dough, I mean, it's not something you see very often. Another rarity. This is a Basil the First with I think it's Constantine and Eudokia on the reverse. Not great shape, for sure. They've got this at 28,249. That's again a high price, but this is one of the rarities right here. You don't see these come out very often. You certainly don't ever see them on eBay. So I wanted to highlight this rare piece here. Again, they give this an AU. I don't, I mean, yeah, I guess, okay, AU. There's like, they call it flan flaw and brushed. There's definitely, I could see where they're talking about the flan flaw. Um, the dies are very worn. I mean, there's some wear on it too, but again, a rare coin you never see come to market. I, it's high priced for the type, but you can do your own comps on it. But I wanted to highlight it if you're looking for a rare Byzantine. There are a few of them on eBay right now. Next up, I wanted to talk about this one. So this is a Basil II and Constantine the Eighth, Tartaron Nomisma, 4.07 grams. And they give it a very fine designation. The coin is pretty beat up, to be honest. But what's interesting is they said X Superior 12 1987. So they put the pedigree and the lot number on it. Now, I'm interested in this auction because it was an auction of a collection from a doctor in my small hometown that I grew up in, the Dr. Fiore Pipito collection. I mean, this auctioned off in 1987. I was like 10 years old. So I didn't know him at all. But when you're in a small town, you hear most of the doctors' names over the years, and it's a name that sort of is unique. And going through some auction catalogs, I was like, Pipito, Dr. Pipito, I wonder. And then I looked at the actual auction catalog, and they give a background on him, and he was a doctor from my small town in upstate New York. And so I thought that was really cool. And I've kind of have been keeping an eye out for coins that might have been in his collection. It's I guess, somewhat important to me, right? I like the fact that we sort of came from the same place, even though generations apart. But what is really interesting about this is I sort of looked at it. I'm like, oh, it's sort of junky. I don't know. I don't know if I want to buy it and stuff. And then I looked at the actual auction catalog, and let's see, where is it? 1362, lot 1362, 1362. It's not the same coin. So, this is concerning a little bit. I mean, listen, NGC, they're grading 80,000 coins a year. I'm sure they look up most of the pedigree on this. I'm sure they looked this up and said, okay, it looks similar, or they just gave it a quick look. It's just not the same coin. The legends are cut off on the reverse. The portrait of Christ is much clearer on the Pipito coin. The legends are full on the reverse on the Pipito coin. And if you look at this here, legends are not there. The portraits aren't there. The portrait of Christ isn't that clear. The weight is off. Now, sometimes the weight is sometimes auction houses get the weights wrong, right? That's not the end of the world. I've had that happen a couple different times, and it's the same coin. I'm not worried about it. But they've got a weight of 4.4 grams, and if you look at this, the weight is 4.07 grams. So, I mean, I don't want to pile on NGC because like I said, I know that mistakes can happen, right? But I think and I've checked, I always check the pedigree on everything, but and usually it's right, but in this case, it is incorrect. It is wrong. Um, so I think this is a mistake by NGC, and I'm making you aware of this. And I'm also going to say this, what I've said on many podcasts: don't take anybody's word for anything. Check and recheck. Um, I guarantee you, Byzantine coins are not as important to NGC as they are to me. Uh, so it just you got to kind of make sure, and it's kind of tough when you have NGC making this mistake. It makes you sort of question whether you can take their word on any of them, right? And you really got to check where you can. Now, we are lucky enough to have this catalog online through our Numis, which is a website that has a number of different old catalogs that you can look at online. It's just such a tremendous resource. Um, and I've got a pretty decent numismatic library at this point as well. Um, but yeah, you gotta check those pedigrees and double check them to make sure, because this one is not the same coin. Again, it's not like they're linking it to a super important auction or major auction, but this one, like I said before, has a little bit of sentimental uh, interest for me. And then when I checked it, it's not the right pedigree. So be careful out there. This is another coin from Sarasota. This is a very rare allele, the sixth solidus, with the reverse on the Virgin Mary now. We saw a much nicer version of this on Nomos, hammer with the buyer's premium and all the associated fees for, I think, around $40,000. And this is priced $10,000 more and is not near the same quality. So, rare coin. If you need one, I guess go ahead and buy it. But I think that this is priced incorrectly. Here's another Basil the Second. This one is from Triton 4. Um, Nice example, good pedigree. I did not look this one up. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it is correct. Um, from Triton 4 and 12 2000 lot 844. But it's a nice example. $2,200 isn't the worst price for this. So, we'll see what happens, but making everybody aware of that. And this is another one. This has got great pedigree as well. They're saying it's X Knobloch 2 from 584, lot 1760. This is a Basil II Constantine the Eighth to Tartron Nomisma at 4.17 grams. Now, I looked up this one, and this was one that was not plated in the sale. Um, the weight and the description match. I don't know if they have a an original ticket with it or what that denotes that, but this was one that I was unable to sort of verify visually. So this is one that you have to take NGC's word for it, which I'm sure it probably is, but there was no way to verify that. But that's a great pedigree if that is true, and I think they've got a choice very fine. 505, 205 brushed. I don't. I mean, yeah, all right. It's not great shape, but it looks. I guess it looks to be correctly graded, but I think that you can get this at a decent price, especially if you buy it from the Sarasota website. This is another interesting one from the offering from Sarasota. This is a Justinian the First Solidus, not the greatest of shape. They've got strike 405, surface 405. You know, it's got some weakness going on there. But what's fascinating about this one is on the reverse below in the excerpt, it says con odd, not con ob. So it's an error or it's not a type I've ever seen before, but it's clearly a D, and they missed a line for the B on it. So it's definitely on the more unique side, I would think of Justinian's coinage to have something like that. But interesting that NGC calls it out, which is good. I'm glad to see that. So, and you can get this coin for like $950 on their website. So yeah, it's beat up. It's not in the best shape, but it's certainly a rarity for sure. The next two coins are both Hercules and Hercules Constantine Solidus, or Solidi, I should say. Um, but they are both really of uniquely beautiful style. Now look at the portraits, the imperial portraits. They're really nice and in a fine style. They've got great character on the eyes, great strikes. Um, and they call this out as clipped at 4.37 grams, but they strike a five, surface a 4 or 5. But it's a unique style. 1525, sure, that's strong for this. A run of the mill one of these you can get between 800 and $1,000 typically. But I'm sure you can get this on their website cheaper, and it is definitely a cool looking strike and style for sure. And then the same thing here. This is they had this clipped at 4.39 grams, but it's roughly the same grade. But look at the strike on this. Yeah, there's some weakness on this where there wasn't on the other one, but um, I mean it's a really sort of interesting style. So wanted to highlight those as available as well. Whoop, what happened? Okay, is that everything? Oh yeah, and then yeah, there's two more. So I love this coin. This is another of their offering. It's a Justinian the Second. It's a youthful portrait. It's like the second type of portrait. There's the first one there where he looks like a little boy. This one, he has a short dotted beard, but the style on these is just frankly astounding. The eyes are very detailed and very intense. There's typically you see wear between the nose and the lip. Um, and it's tough to tell from their pictures how bad that is, but I'm guessing that it's there pretty good. But the style on these is just incredible. $2,400. It's not a bad price either. You can get it cheaper on their website. I have one of these. It's in a choice mint state holder, and it looks great in hand, but it photographs ridiculously well because the eyes are so intricate on these. So that's another other offering. And then finally, I wanted to highlight this one. This was a really nice coin, but in my opinion, a very mispriced, overpriced coin. Um, this is Constantine the Eighth on his own, Solidus. I mean, look at that strike. The strike is great. It is mint state. Strike on the obverse is a little mushy, but not too bad. and it's brushed. But to me, this is a $2,500 to $3,000 coin maybe, and they've got it marked at $9,600. So I mean, I think I don't know why, but it is a nice coin. So there are opportunities out there on eBay. Clearly, there's other people watching eBay because, like I said, when all these dropped, it was a feeding frenzy, and there was a bunch of things gone before I could even get to them. And trust me, I catch these things pretty quickly. Um, but there was a collection that had some nice pedigrees on it for sure. Um, so yeah, that's what's going on in the Byzantine coin world right now. We'll keep an eye out on some of these auctions and see where the pricing falls. I'm hearing some whispers that CNG's feature sale 130 is going to have an outstanding Byzantine offering. So excited for that to drop. I would assume it would drop in like September sometime, or I don't know. I don't know when the actual auction will be, but um, I'm really excited to see what they've got, and we'll go through that, of course. Um, and I guess that's about it. We'll keep our eyes out there for other deals and other auctions to highlight. A&A is coming up. I just booked my tickets to A&A, so if you are going, I would love to connect with you. Maybe have a pint or two, and maybe a little dinner. I'll be eating and drinking. I'll be there at least for 2 nights. And looking forward to seeing what kind of Byzantine treasures I can find in the sea of U.S. coins at the A&A. But there are some good ancient dealers that always attend that show. And for whatever reason, I don't know who paid somebody off or whatever the story is, but for whatever reason, it's being held in Oklahoma City. Not the easiest place to get to. Usually they have it someplace in the Midwest, Chicago, in the middle of the country so that it pulls everybody from the East Coast and the West Coast, and it's not too far for the Europeans to come over, and especially if there's direct flights in Chicago or wherever they have it. But I live in Boston, no direct flights from Boston to Oklahoma City. I've got to connect, and the flights weren't cheap either. So, yeah, I think this is probably the great experiment on Oklahoma City. Everybody I talked to is just shaking their head and being like, I don't understand it. So I would be shocked if they do it there again or in a different locality, a similar locality like that. But I'll be in Oklahoma City. So I can check Oklahoma as a state off my list of states to visit, I guess, because I've never been there. So yeah, with that, we'll probably get at least another podcast episode or two in before the ANA, and then I'll do a recap of the ANA and see what I was able to find and highlight my experiences there. Thank you for listening. Looking forward to connecting with everybody on episode 15. And yeah, take care.